Mr. Lover. What's up, everyone? It's Tim. It's New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC. Got a lot to talk about today. We had some bowl games yesterday. We have the NCAA football championship coming up. We'll have the top 4 teams listed today, are coming out today. You got the Giants controversy with now you have reports that are coming out that potentially Brian Daboll is hated by his coaching staff. I kind of find it peculiar. I kind of find it interesting that, like I said, this is a rumor, I guess, that's been circulating since last year, that his coaching staff is not enamored with Brian Daboll. We got good old Mike Lee in the room. Say good morning, Colt members. On the bye week, smash the like button. We got Big Blue Forever coming in saying smash the like. Zach Attack says breaking news: Daniel Jones has hired at a local high school for a substitute teacher job. We got Coach Dave. Coach Dave, I sent you an email with the link. Are you jumping on, Coach Dave? You can. Got an email out there. Good morning, Tim. And also we have Matthew also saying 2 for 2 of Matthew. Giants front office has more leaks than a Land Rover cooling system. It all depends on what year that Land Rover is. You're talking a 90s Land Rover? You're talking a mid-2000 Land Rover? You got a lot of leaks. I mean, do you take much, and don't forget to hit the like button, do you take much stock on outside reports? You know, you have people that are breaking down. We got Kevin saying, good morning, Tim. You have people breaking down the video of Daboll tossing the gentleman, also known as Wink, the game ball. And people are like, look at the way he threw him the ball. he doesn't like him. He just threw him the ball. I will say this, the Giant coaching staff is probably not not one of the best coaching staffs, because you look at the fact that we're still ranked 32nd in offense. You could tell me anything you want about the quarterback. You tell me anything about the offensive line. To me, it's your offensive philosophy has gotten worse, and I have to say, I think the talent has gotten better in some regards with Joe Shane, but your philosophy has gotten worse. And Daboll is the golden boy. Daboll is he is the boy wonder. No, he's the Batman. Kafka's the boy wonder. I just don't see it. You got issues on your special teams. You have some offensive line issues. I know Arzer will be able to sit there and tell me it's all Bobby Johnson's fault. And your defense, which is being heralded at times, is still ranked in the bottom half of majority of most categories that defenses should be ranked at. Need some drink, some cola here. So at the end of the day, I mean, what do you believe? The problem is when you win, if there is some animosity, if there is some misgivings, if there is some jealousy in reference to the coach staff, like maybe Brian Daboll's a little upset that they hired Wink, and Wink is maybe upset that he should have got the job over Joe Judge. I thought he should have. But, when you win, all this stays under covers. All this truly stays under wraps. But if you lose, well, then things are a little different. The warts usually come out more when you start losing. And the problem is, the more and more this team loses, the more and more. Now we are on a winning streak, because we know who we're on a winning streak with. Jersey Shore. Tommy.
Wait for the beat to drop.
I'm sorry, I was doing that because I was trying to be a pancake eating motherfucker. I got up late. All right. I literally got up late. And I'm talking late. But when you win, all the ill wills, they go away. Everything goes away. You don't have to worry about anything. But when you lose, this is the effect you get. So now that Tommy is entrenched in quarterback situation. Now, we also have an interesting situation. And this was a question that was asked by a bunch of fans. What happens if Tyrod Taylor comes back? What happens then? Do you stick with the hot hand? I think you do. The problem is, as soon as you have 2 or 3 bad passes in a row by Tommy, the fan base, especially if you're at home, is going to clamor for Tyrod. This is not a win-win situation for anybody. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about the quarterbacks in this upcoming, potentially quarterbacks in this coming draft. Zach Attack pointed out that the kid from Texas is going back to Texas. I think he just threw 4 touchdowns. We got Alan and said, good morning, watching and listening from work. Oh, we're gonna have a new feature on these live streams. And thank you, Alan, for bringing that up. Starting, I think, next week, you're going to be able to go to, if you cannot get access to Twitter or YouTube, you can go to, it's going to be NewYorkGiantsLive.com. And we'll talk about this more during the week, but you go to NewYorkGiantsLive.com and you will be able to watch all the live streams as they happen from that URL. I know some people have told me they can't access certain things from work, like YouTube and stuff like that. So we're gonna talk about that again. I'm gonna have another pancake. This is called ASMR. Good pancakes too. Per the Zach Attack, Quinn, of course, is returning to Texas. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So we got Daniel saying, good morning, Chow. We got Greg all the way from Sweden saying, Big Tim. What do we got here from MK5? Do you think Shane has the guts to trade up? Listen, there are, I would say, if you look at this draft, I would say there is, I talked about this before. I compared this to the 83 draft in my most recent video. And of course, that was the Elway draft, the Marino draft, the Todd Blackledge draft, the Ken O'Brien draft, the Tony Easton draft, where all these guys went in the first round. This could be one of these drafts where you have such a plethora of potential talent sitting there that you could not have to trade up. Now, all this is going to be, prevalent on the fact of where we land just in general in the draft. We may not need to trade up. I mean, we may have potential quarterback fall in our lap. And also, we've talked about this before. You don't have to draft a quarterback in the first round. You don't have to draft a quarterback in the first 10 picks. You could take one at 12. Hell, you could take, I always think of Ricky Bobby. He was first or last. He goes, first to last. He goes, yeah, I've been living by that. He goes, what are you talking about, Ricky? I was high when I said that. You could finish second. You could finish third. Hell, you could even finish 10th. So same thing with quarterbacks. You could take a quarterback anywhere you want. Now, the potential to get the guy you want, that is going to be where the precursor is. Is there a guy that you are in love with? Is there a guy that you're enamored with? I know the fan base right now is enamored with Jaden Daniels. I know that. I mean, because I get so many videos of people sending me from Jaden Daniels. And I've already told you guys, I've been watching his film now back since he was in Arizona, before he transferred to LSU. And like I've said, there is a progression for Jaden Daniels. You could see it, that over the last 6 to 8 games, something has slowed down in his brain for the college football, that he is just now playing above. Hold on, pancake time. Pancake eating motherfucker time. This is why I need a co-host. Coffee time. He seems to be the one rocketing up the board, Jaden. And I like what he does. I like what he's about. His sleight of build is a little bit what. We have some Christmas music here. We're not gonna play that. His sleight of build, doesn't terrify me. But when you're like 6'3", and you weigh 185 pounds, I think you may need to, you need to put a little bit more weight on and be a little bit more beat on the bones. I mean, he's taking care. If you look at the fact that he one of his primary focuses this year has been taking care of the football. They were saying he has the lowest turnover worthy play ratio in the nation. I never know what that means, but he's really focused on that. He's playing better under pressure. And I said this in the last video. He's looking downfield. He's looking to matriculate the ball downfield. And he's done this at a high level against competition. Now, you can also say at LSU, he's also doing it with excellent talent around him, but he's a guy that you could invest in. And I love it because someone sent me a tweet, I guess. And it was Fisk Vegas is now all over Jaden Daniels. You were sniffing Daniel Jones's jock for 5 years, and now you've given up on your boy. We'll talk about that next week. We're going to have James Williams in studio next week. He's going to be sitting right next to me. Let's see what Greg says. Greg says, this team sucks. Mike Lee says, and we will work as a quarterback coach during the spring ball. We got the Admiral saying, tell him Hope Ball is great so far this week. God bless you and your family. You too, Admiral. Appreciate it. Zach Attack says, Brian Dable is the Ben McAdoo 2.0, making the playoffs and then losing the team. I don't think he's lost the team. I truly don't think he's lost the team. The team has played hard. Can I just say one thing, though? Am I the only one that has noticed that everyone wants to talk about Kayvon Thibodeau, but am I the only one that's ever noticed that 7 of his sacks come in 3 games? Am I the only one that notices these things? I sent that text to James Williams, and he's like, yes, you were the only one that notices these things. So I'm good. I'm the only one that notices these things. Matthew said, I think it reminds me of a Marcus Golden season. I think that you still can draft Jaden at 6. I would hope they don't fall any further. It would be awesome to trade up for Caleb, though. I guess we'll see. We're going to talk about Caleb Williams in a minute, too, because I want to talk about Caleb also. Joe Rev says, good morning, Tim. Alan says, can you give a handful of realistic moves you would make in the offseason to improve the G-Men? Realistic moves. Well, the problem is you don't have the full picture of what free agency is going to look like next year. And we went through this before. There's not going to be a plethora of guards out there. And there's the scuttlebutt, and there's the talk in the bi-week conversation of moving Evan Neal to the guard position. But then you open up this is what I don't get. Okay. I love the Giant beat writers because, again, they got nothing to fucking talk about. Should Evan Neal be moved to guard in this offseason? They're not doing it in season. Plain and simple, they're not. But should he be moved to guard this offseason? If you move Evan Neal to guard, wait for it, what happens at right tackle? Do you draft somebody? Do you think you have someone on the roster that's going to be able to man the position better? Do you go to free agency? Do you spend some of your cap in free agency and go that direction? So you want to create a dearth on one of your outside positions, which honestly is not more important, but honestly has more. The 2 guard positions have less effect than the tackle position because that's where the speed rushers usually come from. And you're going to open up that spot and move your former top 10 first round pick into a guard position after only 2 years at his right tackle position. What if we would have did that with Andrew Thomas? Let's see. I believe Tommy will be a decent game. I don't think he will feel the pressure with Tyrod back. Here's my thing with Tommy DeVito, and I don't want to talk about it completely, Matthew. I think next week's going to be a really bad game. I think the Green Bay Monday night game is going to be a bad game for Tommy DeVito. Because if you watch the arc, what he's doing right now, and it's just like Will Levis, any other quarterback. You have that big game, Daniel Jones at 19. You have the big game in Tampa, Daniel Jones, and then you start doing this. You start going down. Your stats start going like this. Why? Because smart defensive coordinators are getting film. They're seeing things. They're picking up tendencies. They understand the fact that Tommy has a very elongated pitcher style motion when he throws the ball, and he exposes the ball at times when he throws. Belichick was starting to figure that out. So I think it's going to be bad. Captain Matuma was a JPP or Kayvon. We got to take Kayvon over Jason. If you want to give me Jason Pierre-Paul or Kayvon, I'm taking Kayvon. You want to give me Parsons or Kayvon? I'm taking Parsons. You want to give me Josh Allen, the linebacker that we should have drafted in 19 in Kayvon? I'm probably taking Josh Allen. Greg says, trade up. Get your guy. If you think Daniels is a guy, get him and remind him. He reminds me of Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham, he came out of that school in Vegas. What was he, like a second-round pick? I can't remember exactly. I watched the majority of Randall Cunningham's career in Philadelphia, living in the Philadelphia area and being a Giant fan. You couldn't escape him. Randall Cunningham, when he came out, was wiry. I always go back to the movie The Replacements when the kicker, they look at the kicker and he's not in shape, and the coach looks at him and says, yeah, but he's wiry. That's what Randall Cunningham was. He looked like Randall Cunningham. Of course, he did tear his ACL down too. But he looked like he had this like rubber band body that he would just snap back. And if you watch the play against Carl Banks, I know Carl Banks was the one. I know Carl Banks doesn't want to talk about that play against Philadelphia, where he basically hit and knocked him off his feet, Randall Cunningham. And Randall Cunningham just bounced back up like a cat and threw the ball for a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to ever talk about that play. But he's wiry. Zacatech says the quarterbacks are Williams, Maye, Penix, Daniels, and Nix. You know, Nix is not the quarterback you saw earlier in his career. But him, Penix, and Williams cried on the sideline, so we cannot draft them. We are not allowed to draft them. That is a rule. If you cry on the sideline, like Daniel Jones did week 1 against Dallas, you are not allowed to draft that quarterback. Thank you. Please hit the like button. What do we got here? I think the guy is Shane. Maye is Shane, and the scout. I don't like Drake Maye. You look at the offense that he runs in North Carolina. It's like JJ McCarthy. It's not conducive to the quarterback. And then people are going to put out his intangibles. He's got the elite NFL arm that can make all the throws. He's got I love it because I looked at other scouting reports. He's got the pro level velocity and ball placement. How do you know? He barely throws. This is the one thing that everyone talks about, and this is what I talk about a lot, and it reminds me of Daniel Jones, and it reminds me of Eli Manning. He has a tendency to put the ball in harm's way. He has a tendency to create turnovers. They are not looking at Drake Maye's but they are looking at Drake Maye's talent, not what he's doing in college, which I agree with, but sometimes you should be, if you are so much more talented than your opponents, you should, no matter what offensive system you are running, you should put up bigger numbers than he is. Now you can look at it and tell me he has all the NFL talent, intangibles. He has all the NFL size. He has all these things. But at the end of the day, if he's not producing in college, what's the thought process that, I mean, you look at Josh Allen. Josh Allen evidently was a turnover machine in college, and everyone mentions that. Mentions the turnovers. So it's got to translate into the NFL. He can't have accuracy. He can't throw the ball, but he still put up numbers in college. Drake Maye evidently has all the NFL tangibles, but he's just not putting up any numbers. It's my brother James. James is gonna be here 5 days. 5 days. He's going to be sitting right here. Right here. Keep forgetting everything. The camera's back. He's going to be sitting right here. And we are not only going to discuss the Giants, we're going to discuss life. No, we're going to talk Giants. But we got salute to the chat. Matthew says, Nix crashed down to earth the other day. He was playing way over his head for like 4 weeks. I think he was playing better. I think Bo Nix is like Bo Nix. I've said this before. Bo Nix reminds me of Kenny Pickett. He's got that Kenny Pickett kind of feel. 6'3", 214 pounds. He has been a starter like Kenny Pickett was for 5 years, going back to those first 3 years at Auburn. For 5 years, he has started in college football. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same with Kenny Pickett. And Kenny Pickett was the most pro-ready quarterback coming out. I think he's got a better arm than Pickett. I think Pickett's got a little bit of a weak arm. I think he's turned himself more, Bo Nix, into a legit dual athlete or dual threat. If you take a look, it was 2022. He rushed for over 500 yards. He's at 2-something this year. He's not running as much as he did last year because he's throwing the ball a little. He's throwing the ball a little bit more. Look at a guy that's thrown for over 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns. If you take a look at his first 3 seasons at 16, 12, and 11 touchdowns with 6, 7, and 3 interceptions, he has progressed. He has played well. He is a guy, like I said, that has been he has shown an entire body of work. Kenny Pickett has. Bo Nix has. I think he has a better talent and a better upside than Bo Nix. Than Kenny Pickett. Bo Nix does. But I think there's still going to be a transition period for him. Rusty Nail says, I like Jaden Daniels a lot, but I worry about his size. He's a tall kid, but he's 100. Well, we don't know how tall he is because he's college 6'3". And being college 185, I worry that he's college being college 185, I'm worried he's real world 165. But he is a kid that, like I said, he is really, like I said, I am more and more impressed watching Jaden Daniels play. Because like I said, there's a progression. There is a wide gap from when he started out in Arizona to where he is right now in Louisiana. There is a huge, and you could see the growth of body of work for Jaden. And like I said, I wasn't a guy I was never not high on him, but I just felt that, I'm still, if you have a chance to get Caleb, you got to get Caleb. Caleb Williams makes throws sometimes that you just all at. Don't forget the like button, guys. They make throws you just all at. It's like, what the fuck did that come from? How did he do that? I watched a pass, I guess, a couple weeks ago where he basically slung it from his own 30, dropped it on a sideline on a dime to his receiver in full motion. The dude was cruising. He had a defender on his back, and he put it to the inside of the wide receiver and literally dropped it in his hands where the wide receiver didn't have to go like this. He caught it like this and just kept going. That was crazy. My brother from another is going to be here. We're going to be hanging out. Tim Pimp, thanks. What Jay Glazer said isn't surprising. We've noticed stable yelling at coaches and players before. I'm going to tell you this. When you win, and I'm going to tell you this from experience, when you win and your coach yells at you, it's colorful. That's just Dable. He's being colorful. He's just showing emotion. That's what happens. I'm colorful and I'm showing emotion now. That's so awesome. When you only have 4 wins in 12 games, you're no longer colorful. Said this about Kayvon. Kayvon came, I'm going to get 17 sacks. Great. You want to be boisterous. You want to be self-confident. You want to think to yourself that this is what I'm going to do. Is great. But if you don't do it, you're no longer colorful. You're no longer chic and unique. You're just a loudmouth. And the problem is this. Has the coaching staff of the New York Giants kind of just tuned him out and said, you're a little bit of a loudmouth and to Brian Dable. Jeff Newman says, Timmer! We also have, what do we got here? Matthew says, James Williams, how are you? Bo Nix is Daniel Jones without the legs. This is one of the first times I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm going to disagree with you on this one, James. I think Bo Nix has a much greater upside than Daniel Jones. I was watching the cooking channel. We had relatives over, and some of them are older, so they like watching the cooking channel. And Jesse Palmer, former Giant quarterback, was on. I think Jesse Palmer may have more chops than Daniel Jones. Let's see here. Matthew says the anti-Jones is James. Zach Attack says Kayvon is like JPP in the latter half of his career. Listen, Kayvon has played well at times. Kayvon has showed a motor at times, but Kayvon has 7 sacks in 3 games. Very Marcus Golden-esque. And 2 of those sacks were on the tail end of that Seattle game. He had a sack like in the second series, and he had a sack when it was 25-0. So I'm not saying he's not progressing. I'm not saying he's a bust. I'm not saying he's not playing well. I'm not saying he's going to not be the great defensive end, but you have to put things in perspective. And the perspective is this right now. He has 7 sacks in 3 games. Okay, just throwing it out there. Oh, we got our 0B saying, good morning, Tim. JPP was better than Kayvon, and he only had 8 fingers. I got the Kayvon. You can't see it. I got the Kayvon hat right there. Oh, maybe you can see it. Hold on. Wait, I could do this because I'm official here. Can I do this? Wait, hold on. Let's see here. Let's see this guy's going. Oh, no, wrong way. All right, don't go that way. All right, don't go that way. Go this way. Here, watch this. I just wait. Where is the cave on hat? Here we go. You go all the way up, right there. So yes, guys, my wall goes all the way up. That I don't know. That right there is the stocking cap from Jason Pierre-Paul's last game as a New York Football Giant. I'm standing on the sidelines, and I've always loved JPP going back to when he was in South Florida. He was on the side, and those are pictures. I don't know if you could, right there. You can see those are pictures of him, and he's handing me the hat. So he came over to the sideline after the game. I was just telling him, I said, hey, thanks, because I kind of knew it was going to be the end of his career, especially his Giant career, not his career, but his end of his Giant career. And he came over very nicely, and he walked over for a second, and he's like, here you go, dude. There you go. And he took his stocking cap and gave it to me. Thought that was awesome. Let's see here. Talk with Zoe says, missed this stream, man. As a Giant fan, Tim, I'm so hoping. I feel like we're going to be stuck with Jones until the arch invader comes out, so Merrick can say we found our savior. Well, with the Quinn going back to Texas, Archie may be pushing this back another year, or he's going to hit the transfer portal if he can't win the job next year. And those for you who are missing the streams, I've heard you. I have, and those that have just jumped on, make sure you hit the like button. Those that have just jumped on, if you cannot find us on YouTube, if you cannot find us on Twitter, when the streams come out, we will now be on NewYorkGiantsLive.com. It's going to be NewYorkGiantsLive.com. We'll have more information about this all throughout the week. This is what I've been working on during the bye week. Just so you know. Let's see here. Let's see. Hard out for being a Giants fan, James, but that's for you and James. Let's see. Pimp names like Devito is a good kid, but reality check is coming. He is an EPA, and his total QBR have been pretty bad. He's put up okay stats with mediocre teams. Here, I'm telling you this, and I don't want to say it, but clock it now. Check it now. Tell me whatever the time is now. He is going to have a bad game on Monday night against Green Bay Packers. And I think the following week it's only going to get worse. And it has nothing to do with Tommy, has nothing to do with his lack of talent, has nothing to do with the Tommy DeVito story, has nothing to do, has nothing to do with that. It just look at the history of rookie quarterbacks, the majority of them. You start off at the peak, usually having a really good game. His was a bad game because they wouldn't let him throw the ball. But you usually start at the peak, and then as you go, the next couple of weeks, you kind of start going down the mountain a little bit. To the fact that you literally run off, because teams figure it out. He has a tendency to go there. He has a tendency to do this. When he runs, he does this. When he runs, he holds the ball like this. Like I said, when he has this, and it literally is killing me. His throwing motion is literally killing me. He has this, like I said, he has this elongated pitcher style throwing motion that is going to be primed for the ball to be slapped out of his hands. And like I said, the Belichick kind of started figuring out because by the number of batted passes, the number of batted balls that we had. And it's not something that he can correct. It's something that he has. I got a better picture. It's not something he can correct. It's something that he has been doing probably his entire life. And I've talked about the fact before. I do not like Sam I am. I do not like it in a house. I do not like it with a mouse. That you cannot. I do not like when teams try to tinker with somebody's throwing motion because that usually screws them up and everything else and every other facet of the game. Then their accuracy usually goes down. There's really hasn't been, like I said, talking about it before. What would have happened if Andy Reid said, hey, you know what? I don't like these 3-quarter throws. I don't like these over-the-top throws. I don't like these push throws that Patrick Mahomes does. Let's stop him from doing it. What would have happened then? You wouldn't have Patrick Mahomes. You have to understand that when someone throws, that is their natural motion. That is how they do it. And I'm okay with that. And if you look, like I said, here you go. Look at the motion. He has a large gap where he's exposing the ball between his midsection and to where his elbow is bent. And if you look at it, he almost looks like a pitcher. He almost looks like he has a pitcher's windup as a throwing motion. Now, it may have worked. It didn't really work for him at Syracuse. Didn't really work for him at Illinois. It's not all of a sudden going to be different in the pros. He's not all of a sudden going to make that change. That it's going to be something totally different. What's up here? Mike Lee says, I agree, especially with Green Bay will lose, and we are a good team to bounce back against. I agree. Greg says, Devito is going to get killed. He has been sacked almost 20 times in 2 games. But don't worry, according to Carl Banks and those, the offensive line has improved because there's no more free runners.
Hey, stop talking about me.
Oh, you got to love Carl. Oh, let's see here. Send the link. Coach Dave, I tried, hold on, I'll put the link in the chat, Dave. I emailed you. Let's see here. Talk was says Arch really has 2 options, Zach. Let's either the Giants call Colts in 2 years. I think he'll put an Eli team. I think he might pull an Eli. You got to remember where this kid's from. You got the T-Brad saying, did I miss it? No, of course you didn't miss it. And those that are missing the streams, like I said, starting next week, you're going to be able to go to New York Giants live.com, and you're going to be able to watch streams. Here, I'm going to put this in the thing here because this is like I'm going to be official here. Hold on. Let's go here. Coming soon. Coming soon. It's going to be, how do you spell soon? It's going to be, and you can watch it, everything. It's going to be New York Giants live.com for live streams. I got too many people telling me that they're missing stuff because of the fact that they can't access like YouTube and Twitter from their jobs because of the fact that they have like content blockers. So if you can't get on YouTube, you can't get on Twitter, pretty soon, starting next week, next Sunday, you're going to be able to go to NewYorkGiantsLive.com for live streams. Drake May reminds me of a Herbert. He does not remind me of Herbert. He does not remind me of the Duck. The Duck put up numbers in Oregon, and he had 3 different offensive coordinators for 3 straight years in college. Coach Dave, I'm going to send you the link in a minute. Hold on. Let's T-Brads, hit the like button, or you will be a Daniel Jones of your job. Hey-oh. Everyone says, everyone likes to blame Bobby Johnson for the O-line struggles, but let's look back at the offensive coordinator. It makes the schemes, whether it's a zone blocking. The play, yes. To the Zach Attack's point, the blocking scheme is predicated on the offensive coordinator's play call. You're right. Bobby Johnson teaches the scheme. He teaches techniques. He teaches everything else. But Zach's 100% right. The blocking scheme is predicated on the plays called by the offensive coordinator. You're right. 100% right. Put the link in the chat and I will jump on. Okay, hold on. I'm ramping right now here. Alan says, thank you for the giant content you put out and also for your interactions with your listeners. I love interacting with listeners. I love it. And one of the greatest times I have, and I laugh because people always don't want to bother me. I think it's so weird. Is when I go to the games, and I literally get to meet people. You know, the first couple times it happened, it was kind of freaky because you're like, why do you want to talk to me? I'm just a dumbass. But then I've kind of learned that it's more of an honor to do this. And the only way, and people are like, well, you can make your channel bigger if you do this, and you're more positive, and you do this, and you get more super chats if you don't answer every single fucking one of your IMs in the chat. But you're taking your time to be here. I'm taking my time to be here. We're all doing this together because we're all a fan base. And like I said, it makes it so much better that it kills me. Because I will tell you this, I am tired after 2 hours because I literally do try to read every single chat. And like I said, and if I miss you, just make sure you tell me that I missed you and I'll go back. If you see me do it, I'll go back. But I appreciate you, Alan. I appreciate everyone that hangs out, especially all the regulars. It's just awesome to be here. Captain Matumbo says, Dak always shows up against the G-Men. Dak is on a pace. Dak is on a pace to be an MVP. What he did in Seattle, or versus Seattle, you have Jalen, in the conversation, but Dak is having Dak in Dallas is having one of those seasons, and there are some prognosticators that say that Dallas is better than Philadelphia. And in some regards, I think Dallas is a more complete team than Philadelphia is. And I think that's going to be scary. It's going to be great for the playoffs, but I think it's going to be scary for either one of these teams running into each other as a possibility of going to the Super Bowl. The quarterback from Bama is a gamer. Who is the quarterback from Alabama? I can't even remember who the quarterback from Alabama is. From Alabama. Who is the quarterback from Alabama? I'm literally drawing a blank. I was thinking of the kid from Georgia for a second. 100% Bo Nix is Pickett. He's Kenny Pickett. He's been in the league. He's been in college football for 5 years. He's seen it all going back to Auburn. He is it. Joe Rev says, what does Joe Rev says? I beg to differ on the quarterbacks. Jones was mediocre in college, and I transferred over to the NFL. He's mediocre in the NFL. Well, Joe, we can agree to agree. Logic's Finest says, Tim, best you and your family. Hope everything's going well all the way in Germany. And family's doing good. Giants 34 says, what's up, Tim? It's a Sunday, man. Sunday, it's a holiday season. We got 33 likes, I think. We got to get these up to 40. I'm going to have some people dropping on some guests in a minute to talk more college football. John says, James is absolutely right. Bo doesn't push the ball worth a lick. He owns coaches and are scared of him throwing it. Here's the problem, though. He's threw for over 4,000 yards this season. He's thrown 435 times, 70% completion, 4,145 yards. Average in play is 9.5 yards after. The yak is 11.5, 40 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. None of the coaching staff of Oregon, they are pushing the ball. Push it. Push it. Push it real good. The song was on. Well, you know what's funny? The song was more on in my head. Hit the holly jolly like button. Let's see here. James says Jesse Palmer on the cooking channel. I don't know what that's funny to me. I don't know why it's funny to me. I didn't know he was on the cooking channel. We had relatives over for Thanksgiving, and all they do is watch like reality TV and cooking. And I'm watching, and I'm going, that's Jesse Palmer. I was like, that's Jesse Palmer. I mean, seriously. What the hell is he on the cooking show? What does he know about cooking? That was the first thing I thought of to myself. What the hell does Jesse Palmer know about cooking? I'll tell you what Jesse Palmer knows a lot. Oh, no, I'm not gonna get it. I was gonna make not a derogatory Jesse Palmer comment. I met Jesse Palmer. I hung out with Jesse Palmer after the Ball State game in Florida, in Gainesville, back in 2000. They actually beat Ball State, and he threw for like 3 touchdowns. And there's a place down in Gainesville that there's like a strip where all the bars are. And I was hanging out there with some friends. This was actually 2000. And Jesse had the hair still. He had the hair back then. I remember my friend was like, "Do you want to meet Jesse Palmer?" I was like, "I don't care." It's like, whatever. It's like, does he want to meet me? So we actually met him, and I got to hang out with him for about 4 or 5 hours. I could tell some Jesse Palmer stories. I could tell some Jesse Palmer college stories, but I'm not going to. Zach says, Darius goes to work and doesn't complain. All he does is the fan base hates him for no reason. People act though the O-line is like when they said to fake the field goal, they missed it and they tried. Darius is another guy. He's a guy that keeps quiet. He's a guy that keeps to himself. He's a guy that doesn't say much. But then at the end of the day, when he does say something, people complain that he's talking. Whoa. Bo Nix might be better than DJ. I doubt it. He's gonna be White Vic. I could be wrong. I like Vanilla Vic. T-Brad says, does anyone here still believe in Daniel Jones? If you do, please leave. Is that why we dropped down to 61? That probably because it's a bye week too, but I don't care. You know, we all know that this time that Pesty analyst passed away. He lost his battle with cancer. And talked about it before. Pest and I we're not friends in the beginning. We hated. He hated me. I didn't even know him that well. He hated me. And then we did a live stream together with Bird Gang 31, which is a Philadelphia Eagle content creator. And Pest was there, and we became friends after that. You know, he He was excited to be a season ticket holder this year. I mean, I jumped on his stream multitudes of times. He would always invite me, and I would say I'm never coming. Then I would just show up. And one thing I learned about Pest is he had the same energy, the same decorum, the same enthusiasm to talk Giant football, even if there was 4 people in the room when he did a live stream. And I always commended him on that, and I always just thought that was awesome. And like I said, if there's 65 people, sometimes we have hundreds of people in the room. So if there's only 60, 70 people in the room, I don't care, because I have the Pest philosophy. We are a group. We are a gang. We are a cult. We're going to talk Giant football no matter what. John says, how many Goodfellas gifts per game are you sending your friends during the Tommy? Actually, none. Believe it or not, I have not gotten into the Danny DeVito sending out the Goodfellas tweets, because like I said, he's a great story. Don't get me wrong. But if anyone remembers the movie Cinderella Man, when before Max was gonna fight the Cinderella Man, they met at the bar at the end just before the fight, and Max begs him not to take the fight because he told him, what, people die in fairy tales. And right now, I'm not saying Tommy's gonna die. I'm just saying right now he's having a fairy tale season. He's having a fairy tale run, but some fairy tales end in tragedy. And I think and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude, but this is what I'm seeing coming up in Green Bay. I hope to God I'm 100% wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Let's see here. Oh, Tim Boyle. That's right. Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson. Our Starbucks. Are we really that bad? We got Kevin saying, what's going on, Tim? If you move right to you, thank you. Now I can see. Thank you. If you move Evan Neal to right, if you move him out of right tackle to the guard position, but I'm telling you can't. Yeah, you can keep him at right tackle. But if you move him, now I see. We talked about this briefly for a second. If you move him to guard, you may not be able to draft a quarterback in the first couple rounds because you're going to then be drafting a right tackle. No, the internet didn't freeze. I just wanted to do that. Philly should have lost to Buffalo and Kansas City. I agree. The refs have been horrible. The refs have been terrible this year. James is 100% right. Zach Attack says the Giants will draft Frank Gore Jr. He'll be a 19 career for life, just like his dad. Hit the like button, says James. John says it's horizontally. Mr. McCormick says, Tim, I'm feeling a little better about McCarthy being a Michigan fan, but my opinion has changed a little bit. He is a middle of the line quarterback at the end of the year. Daniel may be the pick if you fail. Here's the thing with McCarthy. JJ McCarthy is Drake May-esque. I want to hear the scouts. He has all the NFL intangibles. He can make all the Sunday throws. He has the velocity. His touch is getting better. But he is another kid that is a little bit slender of build. You are looking at not what his body of work is at Michigan in college. You are going to be looking at his totality in reference to his outside attributes, which are going to be his size, his strength, his arm ability, his velocity, his ability to make all the Sunday throws. But again, I always get concerned about a quarterback that you are focusing more on. Like I've said this before, when you leave college, your college stats are done. You are over. Those do not transition to the pros. You all of a sudden don't have your college stats in the pros. They're done. It's zero. Everything when you get drafted is 0, 0, 0. And I've always said this. I hate when people, someone's 2 years in their career go, remember that game against Alabama? He threw for 400 yards. Okay, that was 3 years ago and wasn't in the pros. So I usually dismiss a lot of people's college stats after they get into the pros. But here's the problem. If you have a quarterback who is not overly successful in the pros and all you're looking at is intangibles vis-a-vis Daniel Jones, you have more of it. You can sit there and say that guy did not have the ability to make it happen in the college. What makes you think he's going to succeed in the pros? And that kind of sticks in my mind a little bit. What's up, Hirsch, for real? All's good. John says, are we still out on Penix after being outclassed? I'm not out on Penix. I like Penix as well. Penix was a guy I liked before the Jaden Daniels rush. I think he's slipping off the board a little bit. If you want to look at him, some people are calling him the college football journeyman. But he's another guy that's got this. Look at my things about Michael Penix. He's got high-end art. He's got the talent. He's got the skills to pay the bills when it comes to chucking the ball. He does. He can throw the ball. He can make all the Sunday throws. He's a big kid, but he's a tall kid, but slight of build. He has an injury history. Saying that I always say he's got a wonky throwing style, and I worry that his lower body mechanics are going to screw up his throwing motion. And if you do not have the ability to plant your feet to make the proper throws, you better make sure you have a big arm. You better make sure you're Patrick Mahomes. And at the end of the day, one of the things you need to worry about with him is his injury history, his weird, we'll say unorthodox throwing style, his lower body mechanics. But he is a kid, like I said, if you want to talk about a kid that can push the ball down the field, Penix can push the ball down the field. But he's got to stay healthy. You got 2 ACLs, and that's no joke. Hurst for real says, Giants need to target the best quarterback in the draft. His name is Jaden Daniels. I really do hope it is. Like I said, I mean, was I on the Jaden Daniels train? I asked Michelle, Tamika, and Tanya, because, they ride that train. But I'm getting on board now. So I'm going to get on that train, and I'm going to ride it. Zacatech says Tommy Devito will be Philly because he needs to be Italian to beat the Carson O-line. Yes, this is a joke, but it happens. I'll take full credit. If Tommy Devito beats Philadelphia, that'll just make me laugh, and I love it though. Someone's typing me. All right, sorry, I had to send someone a message. I don't like what people. It's not professional for people to be DMing me inside the show. Any thoughts on Milton, the later rounds, second or third? Like I said before, you don't have to take a quarterback. You don't have to take a quarterback that high. You don't. It just is what it is. I like Joe Milton. Joe Milton is one of those kids over at Tennessee. He filled in. He's been a fill-in before. He filled in for what's his name? I can't remember his name now. I can't remember his name. There's a kid that started out at Michigan. He only had I think he started only 6 games at Michigan, threw for 1,100 yards. He filled in last year when what's his name got hurt at Tennessee. He had 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's another kid that's really only started 17 games in his college career. I think he has talent, but again, he has been in college football since 2018. So you're getting an older quarterback, and I can't remember who got hurt at fucking Tennessee. I liked him. I can't remember, man. I'm drawing a blank today. So it'll be interesting. I'm just Quad City DJ's reference. Gonna ride this train. Come on, ride the train and ride it. The hook for that song from Quad City DJs was actually done at a place called Electric City. It was Electric City Studios, which was funny though, because my friend owned it, and this was in Florida, and I was actually there the day they recorded that hook. Hendon Hooker, thank you. So that's why I always laugh when I hear that song. With the Quad City DJs, and we call it the train. If you're gonna, I'm sorry. All right, Pip, let's see here. I got to get Quad City DJs out of my head now. Hendon Hooker, thank you very much. Hendon Hooker, yeah, that's the kid who's now over in Detroit, who we probably should draft as well. Alan says, I don't want to take a quarterback just to take a quarterback. Please get your guy. I don't feel they draft Jaden Daniels because the Giants went there saying the quarterback of the draft. We got them, Daniel Jones. I agree. You take your guy, but the problem is this with taking your guy. If your guy is not there, who is your other guy? It's Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones is going to be here no matter what. $68 million can't be wrong in a dead cap number. My concern about this and Daniel Jones is if they don't take a quarterback they feel is going to be the guy. Oh, can I have some more of this? I have this. Oh, thank you. Room service. Hold on. Breakfast is coming. Thank you, Mrs. Online Big Blue. She didn't say you're welcome, darling. Thank you. I got bacon. Bacon! Looks like one of those. I'm the commercial with the dog. Bacon! But those are my pancakes. Hendon Hooker, thank you. Right, Hooker got hurt at Tennessee. Yes, it was. I liked Hendon Hooker coming out. Another guy that was 25 years old. Tib loves the house music. I do love the house. I do love 90s house music. Big Blue One says, "What's the elf on the shelf?" Oh, which one? that one? We're not going to mention when that elf on the shelf is. In a draft deep in quarterbacks, you cannot take a quarterback, and that you got to find the guy because DJ is not the guy. Obviously, thank goodness for Mrs. Online Big Blue because I need some coffee. My coffee was cold. We're gonna. Oh, that's good. 76 blend from Black Rifle Coffee. Pimp name Slickback says, what do you say? The risk of paying Jones when all the fans were saying, oh, it's not that bad a deal. Yeah, folks, it was bad when you get a guy with a $50 million cap hit who is below league average, who takes up 18.6% of your cap space next year. I just added that in. Oh, my goodness gracious. Great balls of fire. Let me see here. All right. We're up to 40-something likes. 42, that's it. 70 plus people in the room, 42 likes. Just for that, I'm eating bacon with our dog. Bacon! At the end of the day, the Giants have to find something. You talked about not signing Saquon Barkley because his history of injuries. You talked about that. But he has been less injured than Daniel Jones. You talked about signing Daniel Jones because kind of like Drake May, you're not signing him off his body of work. You signed him off what he could potentially do in Brian Daboll's system. And what he did in Brian Daboll's system was 3,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 700 yards rushing. Start off 6-2. You finish the season 9-7-1. Barely threw for over 200 yards in multitudes of games. So you paid him off of his potential body of work. So that is good coffee. I never liked the deal. When everyone kept saying how wonderful the deal was, I made videos saying it's not a good deal. But that's all right. Let's see here. Hey, Matt. Hey, Harsh for real. The Giants are paying Daniel Jones. The NFC says thank you, except for Washington. Now I see bit sensitive today until I saw your hat. Love the mug. Gotta get you a Navy. No. No swabs in this house. Sorry, no swabs. This is a Marine house. This is no. I love the line in A Few Good Men when Tom Cruise looks at Keith Sutherland and says, "You don't like me much," because he's in the Navy, and he looks at him, and Keith Sutherland, who's a Marine, goes, "We like you, Navy boys. Every time we got to go somewhere to fight, you give us a ride." Send a 4th round pick to the Chicago Bears. I would do that. I would go for Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields coming out of the Kadarius Toney draft. Semper Fidelis. You gotta love. Like I said, I loved him out of school. He's doing stuff now that you have to have a pause. If you're Ryan Poles right now, and you're looking at your draft status, he's got 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's missed a bunch of games. Already thrown for over 1,500 yards. 64 completions of his passes. He's had some games now. Yeah, right now he's got a 2-6 record, but Chicago was never going to be a good team. If you take a look at it, he's thrown, let's see, he threw 8 touchdowns. And if you want to do a Daniel Jones comparison, technically in 4 games, he's thrown 10 touchdowns. He's a guy that you have to build a certain style offense around him. He's in some ways, he's Jaden Daniels. He's 6'3", 228. So he's a bigger Jaden Daniels, but in some ways that's who he is. He's Jaden Daniels. I think the talent around him is going to get better in Chicago. I think you need to take pause. I think if I'm Chicago, I trade my pick. I trade the pick. Get a boatload of picks. Keep Justin Fields. But if you don't want to keep Justin Fields, I'll take him. I'll send you a third. I will send you a third right now for Justin Fields. I will draft either a wide receiver or an offensive lineman in the first round. I will follow it up in the second and third round. I'm going to go defense because I still need some linebackers, and I truly do need another defense. I truly need a defensive end. I truly need a run-stopping defensive end. So I will give you my third. You give me Fields. I will get my wide receiver and my tackle in the first round. And then in my second round I will go defense. As a Giant fan, I'm happy. I feel a bit sense. I just love that. You had to do it twice. It was a 2-for-2 on that one for you. Do I have 2 in the box for you? I think we don't have the 2 in the box. Here, just for you now, I can see, so I can drink something.
2 in the box.
Ready to go.
We be fast and they be slow.
It's a 2 in the box. I actually like Jaden Daniels. He's been ascendant. He has. Like I said, I have no problem with Jaden Daniels. You probably missed the early half of this stream. He's making, like I said, you go back and watch his film from Arizona. You see where he is now. The last 7 to 8 games, his trajectory has done this because I think the game has finally slowed down for him. That he's seen things that he didn't see before. Hertzreal says, I am worried Drake Maye is fool's gold. Hope New England. That would be the quintessential move by New England, that they take Drake Maye. That to me is a Drake Maye guy going to New England. Like Mac Jones was supposed to be the guy. And you know for a fact that when you have a Hall of Famer, the next guy you bring in is usually never the replacement. He's the rebound girl. A rebound guy. We've had a quarterback here now for 5 years that some could consider the rebound guy. Sumperfy. Let's see. The Giants trade Tony for Waller. Injury history. Like I said, I'm not going to get on Waller. I said I didn't like the trade. I said it had nothing to do with the wedding. Because it didn't. It had to do with the fact that he had a large cap hit. He had been injury prone for 2 seasons. The Raiders are not an ascending team. They're a building team. He has a huge cap number. They got what they could get for him, and they sent him out to the Giants. And I said this from Jump Street with him. The moment that we brought him in, the smartest thing Joe Schoen did was convert most of his money to the bonus, and then just gonna maybe let him go. I'm not gonna let him go next year, but maybe we bring him back, see what he has. But those, as you get older, and I can speak about this, as you get older, and your hamstrings get tighter, and you have more hamstring issues will follow you for the remaining part of your career, or just in life. And that's what you need to worry about right now with Walla Walla Waller. Mike Lee says, I can see Chicago going Williams and Harrison Jr. if they trade Fields. If they trade Fields, I think you're going to go that way. That's why I said currently I'd probably take an offensive lineman. For those that do not know, and for those that can't get on the live streams because they're not on Twitter or YouTube or anything like that, and are in the stream, now I'm going to post it on a couple different places. We are going to start live broadcasting the live streams on NewYorkGiantsLive.com. So instead of having to go into Twitter, instead of having to go into YouTube, I know some people, like I said, I know some jobs block certain websites and things. You'll be able to go on NewYorkGiantsLive.com every time we stream, and you can view the streams that way as well. So maybe a little easier for some people. People have asked for it, and so I try to. When people ask me to do something, I try to do it. Matthew says 1 second and 5th round to the Bears for their 2 number. No, the Bears aren't doing that. The Bears aren't doing it. The Bears have the opportunity to take that first pick, translate it into another first rounder and multitudes of picks, keep their other pick, get someone they need. And the Bears maybe don't even trade out of the top 15. And you look at it that way, because there are plenty of bad teams that are going to be in the top 15. There are plenty. So I don't see them doing that. Giants with the O-line currently they need a lot of dual threat quarterbacks who can escape the pocket, who can run the offlines, who can pass. Pro is mesh. A pocket passer will be eaten alive beyond this line. I agree. If you are going to sit there and you are going to look at this and you are going to draft a quarterback, there is no way with this offensive line that you can sit there and draft a pocket passer. You're going to have to get a Justin Fields type. Let's see your thoughts on Kid Jefferson out of Arkansas and Spencer Rattler. Jefferson, from my understanding, looks like he's hitting the transfer portal, and the scuttlebutt is that he may be going to Auburn. So I don't think he is going. I don't think he's going to be coming out. He's an interesting prospect. He's a big kid at 6'3", 247 pounds. He's got the arm talent. He was an MVP at both the Outback Bowl and I think the Liberty Bowl. I can't remember which. But I don't think at this point in time that he is coming out. So you got to wait and see. I've never been a Spencer Rattler fan. There's a lot of people that have been. He came back to college because he kind of fell down to earth last year. I don't know. I just don't think he's going to translate into the pros. But like I said, KJ Jefferson, I would be curious about. But like I said, I think he's heading to Auburn, from what the understanding is. That's why I'd rather have someone like Caleb or Jaden Daniels. I would love to have Caleb Williams. I don't care that he cries. I don't care that I don't care that he cries. Bo Nix cried. Penix cried. There's no crying in baseball. I don't care that he cries. He's got the talent. He could be a transcend. He's a transcendental talent. He's a guy that could just rise above everyone. He's maybe a little hypersensitive at times, but what kid isn't at 20-something years old, besides me? So I just think that he is, like I said, you're right. If you're going to build this philosophy of this team, you need to build this team in a direction where you have a quarterback with the mobility, with the strength, with the durability to stand behind this offensive line and change your offensive philosophy. And I've said this, there are quarterbacks who are running quarterbacks and there are quarterbacks who can run. Daniel Jones is a quarterback that can run. That's it. He doesn't improvise. Like I said, we said it before. He's a point guard who can't create his own shot. He has to run by design. A running quarterback is a quarterback that when something happens, when something breaks down, when something goes terribly wrong, he can get out and escape and make something happen. And that's what Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels are. Mr. Alvarez says a bunch of quarterbacks from this class seem to be going back to school or hitting the transfer portal because of injuries. Yeah, but you're still going to have, you're going to have Williams, you're going to have Maye, you're going to have Nix, you're going to have Daniels, you're going to have Penix. I think Sanders is going back. Carson Beck, the kid out of Georgia, I don't know what he's doing. McCarthy's probably going to come out. Quinn in Texas is going back to Texas. Leonard Riley is going into the transfer portal. So you got about 7 guys. I think 5 of them potentially can be first-round picks. Let's see. The funny that these guys are getting slammed for being passionate about the game they love. And their college careers just ended. People don't understand that. You're no longer, you're done. Yes, I'm eating bacon. Christopher, hey everyone in the chat. What would you do this offseason? Well, I'm gonna watch baseball. I'm gonna watch basketball. Oh, you mean the Giants? The key to this offseason is where we finish out. Do we finish in the top 10? Do we finish out of the top 10? Is there a guy that you like that you don't need to trade up back into the first round for? Is there a guy that you are in love with? Doesn't have to be a quarterback, but the guy that you're in love with in general that you can get in your current position. And at that point in time, you have to look at the idea of how you're going to build this team. I mean, like the scuttlebutt is that Daniel Jones could, don't forget the like button, guys. The scuttlebutt is Daniel Jones could be back as early as July, as late as 2028. It's such a giant thing now with injuries. They try to be so Belichickian with their injuries. If Daniel Jones comes back in September, he's not starting for at least 4 games. He'll be on the 4-game IR. He's not starting for 4 games. So there's no thought process that Tyrod Taylor wants to come back. There's no thought right now that Jersey Shore Tommy is the real deal. And then if Tommy plays well enough, are you really interested in going into 4 games in the first half of the season, the first quarter of the season with a quarterback? And hopefully with your schedule, you're not 0-4 when Daniel Jones comes back. And then people forget this, when he comes back, how ready is he going to be to play? So you could be into week 8 or 9 before we have the Daniel Jones third renaissance. I always harken back to when I asked Daniel Jones the question at that one event. So I got on the mic. I was able to they let me on the mic. I had to lie about the question I was going to ask and who I was going to ask it to, but I asked my Daniel Jones question instead. I felt bad for the moderator. And we played the video before, and I asked the question, and it was a basic question. It was nothing. I was just asking how he's going to continue, since he, some people said he had a career renaissance. How was he going to continue progressing into this season? And when I was asking the question, and people have noticed, and people that do body language were funny because they were saying, "Did you notice he was doing this the entire time he was talking to you?" And they're like, "That's a nervous twitch." And I said that night on the video that I was more concerned that he couldn't answer a basic question for me. How is he going to put up to the pressures of being a $160 million man? And then people think he's going to come back. Carson Beck cannot be trusted because he has 2 R's in his name. Well, okay. I like that one. Hey, Tim, if Tommy DeVito leads the Giants to the playoffs, do you still look for a quarterback? Yes, you still look for a quarterback. I don't know if you were being sarcastic on that one, but if you were, it was kind of funny. Why would we draft an offensive lineman, not develop him? We have been the worst at developing team in the league for the past decade. You're right. We, outside of Andrew Thomas, you know what's funny? Will Hernandez is actually having a good season in Arizona. How up does that? I think he's like ranked 12th out of 34. T-Brad, if we draft Daniels, I'm getting the jersey day 1. What are the odds on us getting Penix? I think the odds are better on us. I don't think the Giants are going to go with Penix because of his injury history, his we'll call it interesting throwing style. Like I said, his lower body mechanics, and the fact that even though he's got the high arm talent, he's got a lot of I don't want to say negatives, but he's got a lot of things that you have to pause about. And you cannot take a quarterback. And now, like I said, it's always a crapshoot. I understand. Like, you can take Caleb Williams, you can get hurt. You can take Jaden Daniels, you can get hurt. But you have a guy that's got 2 ACLs in college. It's going to be difficult to it's going to be difficult. Which video was the question on? Zach Attack, are you still in the chat? Are you still in the chat, Zach? Could you find the video? I I don't remember. Zach Attack, if you're fine, can you find the Daniel Jones question video? It was from the night of the James Williams was there that night. It was from the town hall. And I love it because I love it because when I asked the question, I'm not a small person. So I asked, and I don't ever take anything personally, but I don't like being called certain things. And I asked the question, I come back to the seat, and I sit down next to the venerable James Williams. He says, "You're such an asshole." And I told him that night. I said, "Anybody but you, dude." I said, "Anyone but you." If anyone else called me that, there would be some issues, but it was just James. Let's see here. Not before me, T. Brad. If the Giants draft another offensive lineman right now, we'll have too much of our cap tied up in one position, and it's not a quarterback. It's better to be real. The problem with the New York Giants salary cap, and we have talked about this ad nauseum, and I don't really like talking about it over and over again. You have too much money tied up in like 4 guys. And you have too much. The biggest issue that Gettleman had was they were always top heavy. And if you take a look at this, you have Daniel Jones taking up 19% of your cap, Andrew Thomas almost taking up 10, another 9 for Lawrence, another 5 for Waller. So you have 4 guys that right now, if you look at, are 45% of your cap space, and that's Waller, Lawrence, Thomas, and Jones. And then you have Bobby Okereke right behind. So you have almost 50% of your cap space actually almost 50%. You go take a look at it. You have almost 50% of your cap space, and you only have 38 guys under contract under Thibodeau, Okereke, Waller, Lawrence, Thomas, and Jones. You have almost 50% of your cap space tied up in these guys. And I kept talking about this. The maturing deals of Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau are going to sooner or later become an issue, because of the fact that you both took them in the first round in that year. So as their career progresses, as they hit year 3, as they hit year 4, as they come to that 5th year option, that number is going to rise for these guys because of the fact that they were top 10 picks. So if you go into 2025, Thibodeau is going to be making almost 10. Neal, you're going to have almost 10. You're going to have almost $19 million tied up between Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal in year 4. So it's going to be interesting. Hey, Tim, I think Jaden Daniels will turn out to be a better quarterback in the NFL than Dan Jones because he is the it factor and because of the upside in Jones. Oh, I agree. Hit that sleigh bell. Hit that like. I meant better get a wide receiver. No, I understand what you meant. Daniel Jones is a great backup for XFL. It could be a USFL backup. It could do that. I'm going to throw the link here in the chat. I know Coach Dave was supposed to be on, and so was R0B. So I'm going to throw this in the link here. So if you're out there, is anybody out there? Now I'm about to say comfortably numb. I'm going to stop myself. There's nothing better than Black Rifle coffee. There may be something interesting coming up with Black Rifle Coffee. I don't want to talk about that just yet. We have a lot of big things coming in 2024. We have the new sponsor, or the new partner, new partner, Magic Mind energy drink. We are going to be promoting this, or not promoting this. We're going to be talking about this a little bit over the next couple of weeks. It's Magic Mind. Make sure it's the magical elixir. All natural. We're going to talk about this soon. Not yet. Soon. We also have the venerable Mint Mobile. And we potentially have 2 other people coming down the pike. Not going to say. I'm waiting for Coach Dave to get set. You set, Dave? Coach, I see you. Nod your head. Here we go. It's the venerable Coach Dave. What's going on, my friend?
What's going on, buddy? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear. Of course, we have been discussing the New York Giants and the potential for the quarterback situation in the 2024 draft.
Yep.
And we have the names bandied about. Of course, you have the names of Daniels and Penix and Williams and Drake Maye and Bo Nix. Is there a guy, Coach, that if you looked at right now, if you were the New York Giants, that you would stay far away from?
Drake May, J.J.
And
McCarthy, Bo Nix, in
well,
that order.
You got to give me a reason. You got to give me a rationale and a reason.
Okay, well, Drake May, because it's Daniel Jones all over again, pretty much. I stated that before. Too many comparisons. It's like you could take pictures of Eli, Daniel Jones, and Drake May, and they look like they all belong to the same fraternity. We need to get completely away from that. As far as also his athleticism, I think it's a bit overstated. I think he has a level of athleticism, but I don't think his athleticism is good enough for this line. And with him, we've done too many things based off of projections, and we need to do things based off of actual productivity. Like no more measurables, no more, oh, we think he'll do this, we'll think he'll do that. Have you done it? Where are the numbers?
No more intangibles.
No more intangibles. They're important, but we've been hanging our hats on intangibles way too long. So that's with him. Bo Nix, I live in Atlanta. I've pretty much watched his whole career. No, he's improved, but at the end of the day, I think Bo Nix could survive. I think he can have an NFL career in two places: the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. I think he's a system quarterback. I think if you put him in a system, that West Coast quick pass, get it out, I think he could be successful in that system. I think he could actually probably be better than Brock Purdy in that system, honestly. But we don't have that. That's not what we need. He's not, it just wouldn't work here. Overall, like I said, I think his pool is limited. I just don't know.
What's funny about that, though, with Brock Purdy? I remember not early on, but I remember a couple months back, like 7-8 months back, some people thought Trey Lance would fit better in the system than Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy has this ability to prove people wrong. I don't think he's the greatest quarterback out there, but I think you're right. I think to your point, he is a system guy.
He's a system guy,
and I think you're right. I think Bo Nix could fit into that system. So what about Mr. McCarthy?
Jaden needs to come back, honestly, in my opinion. I think coming back would do him well. As far as for us, he just hasn't played enough football. And if I really made it a simplistic statement about it, you can't be in college and your team not ask you to throw the football for a half and be my first round pick. You can't do that. So I think, honestly, it would serve him well to just kind of go back for another year, because this year's quarterback draft is too deep. Now, granted, people always make a reach. So it was a genius out there who drafted Mitch Trubisky over Deshaun Jackson. So crazier things have happened. But I just think he'll be better off coming back in another year. I don't want anything to do with him.
If Harbaugh leaves Michigan, does McCarthy stay, or does that not have a factor? Or does he go if Harbaugh leaves?
It's hard to say. I don't think it should have a factor in it, because he's already solidified as the starter, and I feel like he would be able to have more creative input, and he should just be looking at it like, I need to get seasoning for the pros. So honestly, Harbaugh leaving might be beneficial to him, because he can have more say and say, hey, I want to be pro ready. Let's do this. Let's do that. But on the flip side, it might have everything to do with it. He might be like, yeah, I'm out. My coach is leaving. I'm going. So,
or does he potentially hit the transfer portal?
I don't know. That's an interesting theory. I never thought about that.
You look at Hartman when he went over to Notre Dame. I said Hartman should have left college that year.
Yeah,
because of the fact that I thought he was taking a risk. But yes, I understand he was going to a more talented team at Notre Dame. But he had that season where you had that season that you look at the pros, and the pros were like, wow, he did everything he did with lesser talent. And then he goes to Notre Dame, and he doesn't have the same flair. He doesn't have the same panache. He doesn't seem to have the same ability.
He started off hot. They were talking Heisman. He started off hot, but like you said, the competition, you're playing at a different level of competition consistently. So that's going to expose a lot of things as well. I'll tell you who's not getting much talk, but I like over all three of those. And that's based on more so value than anybody or anything else. The kid out of Tulane, Pratt, I think his name is.
I'm actually trying to think of his name. Someone actually sent me I'm trying to find the tweet. What's his? Is it? It's not Pratt. Is it Pratt?
I thought it was Pratt. I think it's Pratt.
It's Michael Pratt.
Michael Pratt. Yeah, I like him, and he's a guy who, if you wanted to do something crazy, you'll be able to get him like as a fourth rounder or something like that. I like him from a value standpoint more than those other guys because I don't think they necessarily have more of an upside than him per se. He's played a lot of football.
I was gonna say he's one of those guys that's played a lot. I like guys. I'm not. You go back. I always go back to. I go back further. Like I said, I go back to Akiwi Smith when he went to the Bengals. When he had the one average season, but it was his first starting season. Then you go a little bit more real time or more upfront time. You have RIP and Dwayne Haskins. I had the one season. I don't like one season guys in college because of the fact that if you only have 12 starts in college, that means you're only coming back from 25. You only maybe had 20, 25 starts in high school, and then 12 starts in college, and then you're expected to go into the pros.
To add to that, and it's slightly different because he's had a little more starts, is Maye. He hasn't had a lot of starts. May's had like 24 starts. We have that experience.
We have a guest coming on, but I keep seeing him walking back and forward, so I'm hoping he's all right. I want to add another person in the chat, and I want to get onto the quarterbacks that you like, Coach Dave, but I got to get this gentleman in. He's rubbing his eyes. He looks like he's crying. He knows what's going to happen because he's going to be here in 5 days. It's James Williams.
What's going on, brother?
Morning, brother. What up, brother?
What's going on, my friend? It's haven't talked to you in like 2 days. What, have you been avoiding me?
I know. God forbid.
God forbid. God forbid that happen.
Yeah, you know.
You're freezing a little bit on your internet. We got Coach Dave here in the room also talking. We just talked about quarterbacks we don't like, and I want to go to Dave real quick again. We talked about the ones that you don't like. What are the guys that? Well, two-fold question. What guys do you think will be available for the Giants to draft, and whom do you think they should take?
I think we could stand pat at 6 if everything plays out the way it is, and we will be able to get Jaden Daniels.
So is he your pick? Is Mr.
He's my pick. Now, first, let me position it. If we could get Caleb Williams first, I would absolutely love that. But since we won't realistically be able to do that, I'm perfectly fine and happy with Jaden Daniels. The reason being is
why, but I was chewing.
Yeah, the reason being, I watched this whole career pretty much. You know, you have people who aren't really educated in it, and they're like, "Well, he had one great season." That's not true at all. His freshman year at Arizona, he had 17 touchdowns.
He had a good year coming in as a freshman. I was talking about got to watch him back at Arizona.
Yeah, he had a good year as a freshman. Then something happened with the program. It was all tits up. Something didn't go right. Then the COVID year happens. Doesn't matter. He played 4 games. He transfers to LSU. Last year, he had a pretty decent year. It was a good year. It was a good year for somebody who was coming into a new program. And you could somewhat compare it to Joe Burrow's first year at LSU somewhat. Joe Burrow probably had a slightly better first year, but it's comparable. And then this year, he just took off like a rocket. He just completely took off like a rocket. And if you pay attention to him, he grows into the game. He gets better as the game is going on. Like, he starts off one way, and then he gets going. And I feel like for us, the Giants, we need to do something completely. Everything needs to be different. I damn near want to get new uniforms. Like, this club needs to go through a whole image makeover. We need to instead of sitting there and trying to get a statue, we need to get somebody with some mobility and some twitch to them who is, you know, a modern quarterback ready for the modern era. And also, to add to this, my last point about him is some people think he's a running quarterback and they compare him to Lamar Jackson. He's more RG3 Lamar Jackson combination. And the reason why I say that is his runs are from the pocket as him being a quarterback. These aren't strategic runs saying, okay, quarterback run left, quarterback run right. That's not it. He's got a clock in his head. When he doesn't see what he wants to see, he's going.
Right. He's, like I've said before, he's a running quarterback. He's not a quarterback who can run. I always use that analogy. Now, James, you've said it best.
This town needs an enema.
You are looking for the guy. You talked about Jaden Daniels a bunch of times. And I know you and T-Brad are fighting right now. Who's the first one to get the Jaden Daniels jersey after this draft? What is? I mean, we got what Coach Dave loves about Jaden. What is the venerable James Williams find so intriguing, besides the fact that he's not Daniel Jones, in Jaden Daniels?
He has brother Dave said the it factor. I mean the twitch factor. I call it the it factor. Same thing. He has something. There's something there. Kind of like if you watch, he's not ready yet, but the guy Jalen Milroe on Alabama last night. If you watch the SEC championship, he go for a ton of yards, but he has an it factor where he can make plays. Jaden Daniels has that same thing where he just makes plays. He makes stuff happen. If you watch him, he's not just a straight runner, like Coach Dave said. He's more like an RG3 type, which we need. We need a guy who's both, dual threat, a real dual threat, not a guy. Daniel Jones is more of a runner than Jaden Daniels. Right. Now that's blasphemous to say, but it's the truth, And one thing I want to say that's a little funny, and people are gonna think this is probably not that funny, but I don't care at this point. Coach Dave just said something very interesting. He said we need
on my channel
to move into the
It's not funny. I'm going to say it anyway, because no one watches Tim.
Coach Dave said,
remember here, James, you're going to be here in 5 days.
Oh, I am.
So I will punch you in the back of the head.
So Coach Dave just said we need to. That's fine. That's fine. We're brothers. Coach Dave just said we need to move into the modern era, right? Which he's right. You know what the funny thing about the modern era of quarterback now compared to 20 years ago? The modern quarterback looks a certain way.
Yep.
He looks a certain way. That's all I'm going to say. If you look at the landscape of the league, half of the teams have a certain type of quarterback. Literally half. We're the only ones that seem to avoid this certain type of quarterback. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to keep pounding on it until people start really looking at it. We're the only team, and I'm not going to say anything more than that. We're the only team that seems to avoid drafting a certain type of quarterback. And if you look at this draft, even your idea of trading for Fields, I like that because the guy who's on a redemption.
Avoid it. Let's just say it. James is saying that the Giants have not drafted a black quarterback in over 100 years. We've had two starting black quarterbacks in the last 100 years. I always say the fact that I don't think the Giants are a racist organization. I think a lot of what they've had in reference to this, especially in the modern day draft, is bad luck, and not bad luck, but the fact that you had Phil Simms for almost 14 years, you had Eli Manning for almost 16 years. So there was opportunities, I think, not to get that quarterback. Yes, but I do think in some regards, if you take a look at that we are the only team in the division not to draft an African-American quarterback. We are one of the few teams in the league who have never drafted an African-American quarterback. Sometimes there is a moment of pause for people to think. I've said it before. Racism exists. It exists.
Racism exists.
It exists in sports.
Listen, this draft. Listen, brother, not to cut you off, my fault. But this draft, if we don't draft a quarterback, or if we go out of our way to draft Bo Nix instead of some of these other guys, all I'm gonna say is you just look. Just look. Like we don't have to say anything. Just look at their tendency. Look, half of the quarterbacks coming out in this class are black.
Yep.
If we took a flyer on a guy, Daniel Jones, from a no-name quarterback school, and then re-upped on that and gave him a contract, then why the hell wouldn't you take a chance on one of these young brothers who are way more dynamic than him?
Way more dynamic.
Yeah. I want to get to Fab first because I got both of you here. And
way more dynamic. Like now,
don't worry. We can have this debate when you're sitting next to me. We always have this debate because we never shy away from it.
I just wanted to get that out.
I understand. I want to get to this Fabian question because this is the question actually I was debating someone with today. Do you think Bama should jump from 8 to 4? There's a lot of talk and there's a lot of apprehension with some people to move the 13-0 Florida State into that 4 spot into the NCAA playoffs, the championship playoffs. Some people think at the SEC that they are not. They didn't play the competition. They didn't play to the level. Their starting Heisman quarterback got injured, with like 4 or 5 games ago. So there's a lot of people that don't want to keep Florida State in that
competition. There's a lot of people that want to move Alabama into the Florida State spot, even though it would be unheard of to have a 13-0 team, not especially named Florida State, not fall into the college playoffs. Coach Dave, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts about moving Bama over Florida State?
I think people kind of lose sight of what the committee is really about. I think you have, the list of, the deserving teams, and then you have the list of what their job is consistent of. Their job is basically to basically give us the 4 best teams. I think Florida State is deserving of being there, but I wouldn't necessarily say they're one of the best teams. So with that being said, I mean, and then when you add to the fact that there is a huge SEC bias, I just don't see a world where a SEC champion doesn't get into the playoffs. So to me, I think it's going to be Michigan, Washington, Texas deservingly, and Georgia. Alabama, because you can't put Alabama in and not put Texas in.
Now, James, basically the same question.
Well, based off the topic I just brought up, and speaking in fairness, if you don't put a 13, and Coach Dave brought up some good points, because whether you want to believe it or not, this committee, there's other things going on behind the scenes besides just picking the right team, unfortunately. But if you don't put a 13-0 team at a well-based school like Florida State, if they don't get into the playoffs, then I think the whole playoff system needs to be abolished.
Well,
now we all know the SEC.
So, some will say, James, that Florida State has only played 3 ranked teams, which was Louisville, Duke. Believe it or not, Duke was ranked 16th at one point, and LSU, number 5, ranked currently number 5. And that was the first game of the season, though they beat LSU. But then they've gone on to play Boston College, Clemson, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Wake Forest, Pitt, Miami, Northern Alabama, and Florida. We're not talking the cream of the. If you look at strength of schedule, now the problem is we've talked about this before. You can only play the teams on your schedule. And the thing is, those are the only guys you can
say that all the time.
These are the only guys you can beat. These are the only guys you can lose to. But at the end of the day, you still took out 13 straight opponents.
Tim,
I think that's kind of what people are kind of harping on a little bit.
Tim, not to cut you off.
13-0 is 13-0, brother.
Yeah, but you can't go in there with their quarterback. With the quarterback situation being what it is, they're concerned with putting the best visual product out there.
No, exactly.
So you can't put that product out there. But they never. But yes, it is politics. But they never said politics wasn't a part of it.
Right.
They not, like so. Yesterday,
I'm just talking about. Go ahead.
So yesterday, I had a conversation with a friend who's trying to argue. He's trying to argue with me, telling me that Texas is not going to get in there, but he's trying to make a point that Alabama's going to get in there. I said, listen, buddy. Last time I checked, there's a room full of old white men in Texas right now watching all of these games, and they're called the committee. It's no way in hell Texas is not getting in there at all. And it's politics, sure, but deservingly so. But I just say that to say you can't discount the politics with this, and that's why a SEC team will be in there.
You never can. I want to get off college football for a second because Fabian's got another question. This is a question I brought up about Jaden Daniels. He is listed at about 6'3", 185. Now we all know there is college measurements. So my concern, because Kyler Murray at school, at one point in time was 6'4", and then he turned out to be 4'8", which I'm being facetious. But he did shrink going into those. So I always get concerned when I see a guy that's 185 that he's more like 165. And I know I've said this before. There are certain types of body frames that you can kind of look at and see, okay, this kid can put on weight. This kid can put on mass. Randall Cunningham wasn't one of those guys. When you looked at him, you said, Randall Cunningham is going to be what he is. I have this feeling in some regards that Jaden Daniels may be smaller than he is, not only height-wise, but weight-wise. You take a look at the body of work of Kyler Murray and some of the smaller quarterbacks. Is there any concern from either one of you that his frame might be not conducive to certain offenses that you run in the NFL? If you take a look at Arizona, they had to redesign. Cliff Kingsbury had to reinvent an entire offense for his quarterback. Do the Giants with Dable have that mental fortitude to do that with this type of quarterback who may be actually smaller than he's really even listed? Whoever wants to take that one first.
Well, let me take that first. And I'll use what Coach Dave just said. We just talked about in college football, competition, right? Jaden Daniels played against much higher competition than Daniel Jones. I say that to say part of the reason why Daniel Jones sucks and he gets hurt all the time is because he ain't never had these big boys chasing him before. He ain't never been on the field and had linebackers and defensive linemen that were really running up on him when he was playing at Duke or whatever high school he went to. He's seeing mutants for the first time in his life. That's why he sucks also, because he can't get away from them. And when he hits them, it's like, oh my God, he's never been hit like that before. Jaden Daniels playing where he's played, especially in the SEC. First of all, if you watch his highlights, he's been cracked a few times. There's a few times he's taken some hits, and I was like, damn, that boy's not going to get up. So, yes, obviously, I weigh more than Jaden Daniels right now. I'm buck 95, 200. So, I weigh more than him right now, which is a little scary. But at the same time, you just brought up Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham was thin as rails, but he was tough, and he could throw the ball. And with a guy like Dabo, who coached up Josh Allen, a.k.a. White Vic, that I love him and I adore him, a.k.a. White Vic, he coached that guy up and helped make him to what he is today, even without Dabo being there. So if we believe in the coach, who was the coach of the year last year, then taking a guy like Daniels is exactly what we should do, or trading for a guy like Fields or somebody like that, because Dabo will create an offensive system around him. We went to the playoffs with Danny Crimes. So if we get a guy with real ability under this coach, then yes, I think he can create a system that benefits him and us for the team.
Yeah.
I'm going to same question to you, Coach Dave.
The weight doesn't concern me at all. I feel like it's probably closer to his true weight, whatever they're saying it is now. I feel like I do get your concerns about the frame being able to put on weight, but I think there's different types of programs that they can put him on. And I think we just need to bring him along right if we get him. And when I say bring him along right, I wouldn't want to see him until mid-season at best, honestly. Get him under a good strength and conditioning program. Get him in the lab. Get him in the building. Daniel Jones is a horrible player, but if anything I do respect about him is his professionalism and his approach to the game. He just can't play the game, but his approach to the game and his professionalism seems good. Get him in that situation right there and then bring him along halfway through. It doesn't bother me because, like he said, I mean, he needs to learn how to protect himself better, obviously, but he's seen these mutants before. The SEC, you have on the edges, you got everybody's a pro basically.
Right.
You can't play on the edge in the SEC unless you're a professional football player. You're just a baby.
Our crack staff, there's Jaden Daniels. So,
look at those biceps.
Look at those biceps.
That'll be all right.
Look at those
biceps. And as far as the systems, Tim, if you really look at what Baltimore is running now, that's the perfect system for Jaden Daniels. And I feel like we have that in us from an organization standpoint because we've got Dabo and we got Kafka if he's still here. So they could put the system together around him to say, okay.
I don't think Kafka's going to be back. I think
he might not be back, but whoever.
No.
My question is this, James. Is he 6'3" with the hair?
No, I think it's a legitimate 6'4".
Yes, with the hair.
Is he
with the hair when he picks it out?
Is he 6'4" with the hair? That's all I'm asking.
After he picks it out.
That's all I'm asking, man, because I've seen your hair in the morning. So I'm just asking.
That's hilarious.
James goes to bed here, and he's only 6 feet. He wakes up in the morning, he's 6'3". So I'm just curious on that question. Right?
Hilarious.
Let me see a couple of questions here we got here. Karen says Tommy DeVito is going to be the quarterback of our quarterbacks. He's got the young energy for this team. He's already proven the touchdowns. He's the man, with all due respect. James, I'm going to start with you. I've said this, and I don't know if Coach Dave, you were here when I was saying it. I think Tommy DeVito is in for a big fall against Green Bay. If you look at his throwing motion, if you look at the way how the ball is away from his body, he looks like a pitcher with an elongated windup. Belichick was, they were batting down some balls. I'm very concerned that some balls are going to be knocked out of his hands. What does the rest of the season hold after this bye week, where a team has now had, some time to study this kid? I mean, what do you think is going to happen against Green Bay, James, for Tommy DeVito?
Well, we're gonna lose. I think going up there. If you think about it, that's gonna be his going up. It's in Green Bay. Or are they coming here?
No, it's at home. It's here. It's prime
there,
time.
right?
It's prime time in New York.
Because I was gonna say technically this would be his first real tough on the road in Green Bay. That would be a real for him a real NFL wake up call. Like I know Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre aren't there, but still going up there would have been interesting. Him playing here, it's prime time. I'm sure he'll feel a little of the jitters. I think he will come back down to earth. I'll use this analogy. When somebody has been feeding you scraps out the garbage can for 4 years, and then all of a sudden somebody comes with a Happy Meal, those nuggets look damn good. And that's what we've had with Tyrod and Devito. We've had a 20-piece chicken McNugget with the sweet and sour sauce, and we're like, man, this is the best stuff ever. And that's because we've been eating garbage.
I prefer the honey mustard.
So I get why everybody and Karen. I hope. Hey, whatever you like, baby. Whatever you like. But first of all, I hope Karen is not trolling with that name Karen and then saying what they're saying. Just not to go too deep into that. But I get why everybody is saying that. We've been eating garbage. So somebody comes with a Happy Meal, and it's like, wow, look how great this looks. Keep in mind, I'm going to keep saying this. When we played the Jets, they didn't let him throw a pass, and he didn't have the kahunas in there to pull a Willie Beeman to go, you know what, Jalen? F that. Go left, go down, slant right. Wandale, you cut across the middle. I'm throwing this mother effer. So he didn't throw a pass. He didn't throw a forward pass. Excuse me. He didn't throw a forward pass.
He threw 5.
A forward pass. Excuse me. He threw 5, but not forward. So I get it, but we're just eating Happy Meals right now. We need to get back to our steak, filet mignon, potatoes, broccoli. We need to get back to that.
Coach Dave, what is the Tommy DeVito status for Green Bay and the rest of the season?
Really quick, I want to say I like Tommy DeVito as a person. I love the story. It's a great story. And I just want to say something.
We always say that, Coach.
No. Yeah, hear me out. I think the season is going to be how it should be. He's going to fucking lose the majority of the games as he should be. He's going to come down to earth against Green Bay. But what I want to say is this. It's just more of a deeper perspective. With Tyrod playing and then being followed up by Tommy DeVito, think about this. We have a large percentage of Giants fans who are Italian. We have a large percentage of Black fans who are Giant fans. We've had two parts of the fan base who have never been fed before being fed through the quarterback play, or not the quarterback play, but the people playing quarterback. And look at the excitement. Look at the excitement in the fan base for a team that's horrible. Look at the excitement. Look, the Italians are proud as they should be because one of their guys are playing. Tyrod played, first Black guy to win a game for the Giants. Look at the excitement for the Black men. Look at the excitement. Like, as an organization, like, how you can't be as tone deaf to not see we need a shot in the arm. We need something different to bring something different to the organization to just change things up. But to answer your question, Tim, no, he's going to come back down to earth. He played two terrible teams. People were too excited about it. We own Washington, and we beat – who did we beat that other game? Who was that? Somebody terrible. No.
Oh, the Patriots?
No. Yeah, the Patriots and the Bumble.
We only lost that game because of the rookie. I still think Belichick threw that game. Coach Dave,
I think so too.
Go wide left.
I want this explained. I want the Coach Dave perspective. But first of all, I want to say one thing. There are two segments of the Giant fan base that aren't happy: the Irish and the Native American. And those are the most people in our house. So we're not all excited about the Italians and everyone else. The Irish, we're not happy. Just want to throw that out there. We're not ecstatic right now. Why did Belichick call that play to the right hash mark?
Because he didn't want to win the game. He did not want to win the game. Here's the thing. You had two coaches who were trying to coach against themselves to not win the game that day. Like, everybody's mad at Daboll, but I understand Daboll right now. That's why I'm not giving him any flack this year. He wants the best chance possible to get his guy. He doesn't want to fuck around and say, "Oh, I won pointless games and I won 7 games and now I'm in the shitter. I'm drafting 12." It's stupid. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to get his guy, as he should.
But I was sitting there and I did a whole video about it. I'm dying because I'm watching the play and I'm like, why is he running it to the right hash? You have a rookie kicker. You are in basically extra point range. Most of the times, what they do is you center between the two hashes, and the quarterback just drops down or falls into a position and a play to the right hash. And you watch that field goal, James, and I'm like, I think I was even texting you at the time going, is he trying to throw the game?
Yep, exactly what he's trying to do.
Did you see? Do you remember Bill Belichick's face after he missed? He kind of gave the,
we missed.
He's like, oh, shucks, darn it.
Gosh darn it.
Gosh darn it. Karen,
that's the greatest coach.
Oh, no, go ahead, James.
Oh, okay. No doubt, Karen. It's all love, Karen. No doubt. I was just poking a little fun. But Bill Belichick is arguably the greatest coach of all time, and you're gonna tell me that he didn't do a better job of setting up his rookie kicker? It's like, okay, guy. Some of you guys in Giants land, not here on this channel, but outside of this channel, you really need to think outside the box. You really need to open up your brains. Like, my God, Bill Belichick. You just sat like.
Now, my other question is this about this game, because this is also bugging me about Dable. I did a video about this as well, and it worked out at the end because they missed. He didn't use any of his timeouts.
I was thinking the same thing.
He did not use any of his timeouts, and I kept saying to myself, you know they're going to probably kick a field goal. You're 90% sure they might make it until Belichick just did something stupid. But why wouldn't Dable sit there with the understanding that I should use my timeouts? I'm going to play for overtime, and we know it happened in overtime against the Jets. Why? Yeah. And Coach Day, I'm going to start back with you on this one. Why would I said Dable does some things that are very judgy into me, and the first 8 games when he was 6-2, they worked out. This season, they're not working out. But why at that point in time would you not call a timeout unless you were either playing for a tie or playing for overtime? And I always thought in the NFL you were supposed to try to win.
He wants to lose the game. That's the answer to the question. He wants to lose. He wants to lose the game. Like, it's not. I don't read deep into this. Oh, he's falling off as a coach. This and that. No. He wants to lose the game. He sees what he's dealing with Daniel Jones. He's not happy. He knows what it takes to be a winner in this league. He had Josh Allen, a top 5 quarterback in the league. He wants to win the games, and he knows that this can't happen. So the best way for me to do it is take 2 steps back to take 1 step back to take 2-3 steps forward. He knows that.
Because you know what they say, because opposites attract. Yeah. Especially when you take 2 steps forwards and 2 steps back.
Yeah, he doesn't. What was that? Was that Paula Abdul?
Paula Abdul. Of course it was Paula Abdul. You take I take 2 steps.
Catch that one, Coach Dave.
You got MC Scat Cat on that video. Such a great video. James, I mean, literally, he didn't take 2 steps back.
Great video.
He took 4 yards to the right. I mean, Belichick did. But the same thing with question with Dable, because I always get told I'm negative. And of course, thank you, Big Don, for the super chat. Not super chat, the super stickers. We always love super stickers here. You're Brian Dable. You got to win. Are you literally not trying? I mean, you are the coach of the year, as you so succinctly pointed out earlier. Are you not trying to win the game by not using your timeouts at all? And there was time left on. There was a lot of time left on the clock.
That's one win.
Oh, I think I said on your stream a couple weeks ago that I think Dabo's halfway kicked out. He just is. I think he knows that I'm just trying to finish this race. I'm just trying to get to the end. He's been kind of dragged through the mud with some of the performances, and honestly, partly due to his coaching and his staff not getting the team prepared. Because I'm gonna keep saying it. To open the year 40-0 to your division rival on prime time, that's damn embarrassing. That is damn embarrassing. And then to continue the rest of the year the way we have, it is just this in some ways this has been worse than Joe Judge, because Joe Judge never won Coach of the Year. Joe Judge never coached up Josh Allen.
I disagree.
And the whole thing with I know you do, but 40-0. Guess what, Coach Dave?
It's terrible.
Joe Judge never lost 40-0.
Joe
Judge
with a whole offseason.
He also ran the victory formation twice in a row, like in the third quarter.
Hey, that's cool.
40-0
is 40-0.
Someone forgot to tell Joe, you're not winning, and Joe, it's only the third quarter.
Right.
Hey, guess what? We scored in that game. Guess what? So as bad as you make that out to be, we didn't score in that opening game. So we could run the victory formation.
Well,
we didn't score.
Well, here's the thing.
Hold on, Coach.
Yeah.
What? Go ahead, because I know when I say that it bothers people, but if you really think about, look at the beginning of the season, the game against the Niners, both games against the Cowboys, we looked horrible.
We look horrible.
Brother.
We look horrible, but
we looked better out there with Joe Judge when he had Mike Glennon at time.
No, let's not get carried away. Let's not get carried away because we're talking about a different level of competition. The point about the Cowboys thing is this. As bad as it is, they've scored 40 points like 7 times this year. If that's any consolation, true indeed. But if that's any consolation, that's what they do to subpar teams, and we know we're a subpar team. I feel like, yes, it was a horrible loss, but I felt like in a poetic kind of way, it kind of needed to happen because people fell for the fool's goal of last year. We were never that good. We got lucky. We got all the bounces. And people just started believing the hype and thinking that it was something that it wasn't, and it needed to happen. I just feel like this needed to happen.
I think we have to go back even to preseason though to some of James's point. We gave up 32 points to the Jets. Week 1, we gave up 40 points. Then we gave up another 28 to the Cardinals. We gave 30 to the 49ers. We gave 24 to the Seahawks. Another 31 to the Dolphins. And then we had the Bills game and where we gave up only 14-7. Then we had the game in the rain. We gave up 30 to the Raiders. We gave up 49 to the Cowboys. I mean, there has been a plethora
quarterback
that this giant defense has just not been good.
Coach Dave, we lost to the Raiders with a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback, brother.
Yeah,
that's pretty bad.
It's horrible, guys. I might have to check out because I gotta do some man work for the wife. Well, let's do this again next week. But Tim, I just want to give you your flowers really quick because a lot of content creators aren't strong enough to stand up to the whole black quarterback conversation, and you always meet it head first. You never ducked away from it. You never shied away from it. And I just want to give you your flowers for that because I was on a podcast with some guys, black guys, as a matter of fact, Big Blue Crew, and they just told me I was the dumbest whatever just because of my theory about the quarterback position.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm just saying I appreciate it. And like I said, I always think that every part of the conversation has to be addressed, and every part of the conversation has to be looked at. You can't shy away from anything in life. And like I said, Coach Dave, we appreciate you coming on because you've added some great insight the last 2 weeks, and you put up with James. So
definitely,
that's a win-win.
Definitely, yep. So catch you guys later.
All right, Coach Dave, thank you for stepping on. We're going to check out soon here, James, because I actually have some stuff to do too, but I want to talk about something. Your favorite topic.
Go ahead.
Kayvon Thibodeau. You and I were texting.
He was on a reality show.
Okay. Well, let's get to this
first.
He
was on a reality show.
We're going to talk about the reality show too for a second.
Quiet.
I want to talk about something there because I've texted you this and you're like, yes, you are the only person. Am I the only person that has seen that he has the multitudes of his sacks in 3 games? That he's got like 7 of his sacks in 3 games? I'm not saying he's going to be a bust. I'm not saying he's terrible. I'm just saying it reminds me of a Marcus Golden season from a couple of years back. And we hype him up ad nauseum, but because of the fact that he was drafted 5 overall, he's in the top 10, he's a giant, but he's also a guy that if you take a look at it, the motor sometimes isn't there. He had the motor in the Jet game, but he also didn't have it in the Miami game. He disappears in spots. I'm not saying he's going to be a bust. I'm not going to say he's not going to finish 20 sacks one year, but if we put things in perspective, 7 of his sacks have come in like 3 games.
Well, that's why I call him Casper, because he just disappears. It's a perfect nickname for him. I don't, and to all Giants fans out there, there's a lot of room in between Hall of Famer and bust. So he could fall into any category in between there in the next few years, so fine. But the guy is not consistent, and that's a fact. The guy is not consistent, and that's a fact. And in Giants land, what we've done the last 5 years is any guy we pick up, they're going to be great. Any guy we've traded for, they're going to be great. Anybody who puts on these colors, they're going to be great.
Anyone that gets
I love and I love the positivity, but that's not reality. The guy, he doesn't have a motor. It's not a great motor. It's not. He does not have a Chase Blackburn motor. Sorry. Some of you who don't know who Chase Blackburn is, Google him. He does not have an Aaron Donald motor, even though earlier this year you was literally arguing with other content creators about, well, who would you rather have, Kayvon Thibodeau or arguably the best defensive player in the last 20 years in Aaron Donald? It's like, I don't understand this. I don't understand why people just can't look at things and just call what they see. You've been on this from the beginning. I've been not too far behind you.
The current content creators that have said that they would take Kayvon over Parsons.
That's that's why, like, with certain things, like even with Coach Dave, I was getting, and not with him, but I'm just at a point where I just can't take certain stuff anymore, man. I can't. And you're right. They were like, oh, well, Michael Parsons only has 5 sacks right now, and it's like, yeah, that's because the offenses are double teaming him and running the ball away from him because they know how much of a problem he is. Nobody's running away from Kayvon Thibodeau. If you watch a lot of the runs that teams run on us, they're running right at him.
I got someone that's probably wants.
Insane.
I got probably someone wants to disagree with you real quick because I got to get out here real quick, but I got to let this guy drop in. I liked him better without the hat. I liked you better without the hat.
Who's that?
It's the T-Brad. We always have
What's going on, good brothers? I just got done doing a little work. Got to jump in, do some more. But I was listening, y'all. Y'all got me through sending out some stuff.
You got to do one thing with those glasses. With those glasses, it's tricky. Rocco rhyme. That's right on time. It's tricky. It's tricky. I love the glasses.
Yo, real rap. I love Coach Dave's perspective. Brother brings a lot of good perspectives, and James and him with the back and forth. Guys, you guys are flowing, and I did agree with Dave. It's good that we can have these conversations as adults and speak facts. We're not trying to drum up anything negative between the races. Just we're speaking facts about the Italian brother coming in, and I'm happy for him. I'm like, why everybody so mad? And I've been calling Tommy Touchdown. Why y'all so mad at Tommy Touchdowns? He's thrown more than Daniel Jones. Why y'all mad at him? I said, how can you not feel good about an Italian from that area playing for that team? Are you serious? You don't expect the people to go crazy? This is Linsanity, football version.
This is football version, Linsanity too. But we got to get the big old super chat in from the Rover because he does talk about this. Hey, James. Hey, Tim. Hey, G-Brad. As an Irish guy, I am happy with any quarterback that will get us out of the shit show we are in. But I must say that if the best quarterback available is black and the Giants don't take him, we have a problem.
I agree. I agree.
I don't disagree. Now, like I said, the Irish and the Native Americans in this house are not happy because of the fact that we have nobody representing us in MetLife.
Hey, I don't think we've drafted a Latino either.
We haven't drafted a Latino either.
We haven't drafted so we're keeping it consistent.
We're keeping it consistent, but I do want to, we talked to T-Brad about the issues and about the Giants and the African American quarterback and drafting or playing them. To the Rovers' point in this, and to what we talked about with James, T-Brad, and Coach Dave. To this point, if you look at the best quarterbacks available, the majority of them are African American this year. If the Giants have that opportunity and they pass on that quarterback, what is your thought process? Are they going best player available? They're going, what's the scenario?
I got a few processes. So if you give me a minute, I'll hopefully get them all out. No offensive lineman in the first round. Let's just get that out the way. If we're going to take anything outside of a quarterback, it needs to be a dynamic number one wide receiver. Now, diving into the quarterback side of it, this is how I have the quarterbacks ranked. You have Williams and Maye. I don't care if you flip-flop the order. If the Giants had either one, I'd be excited. Then after that, I actually have Daniels. Okay. Because, like you said, we're talking about the modern era. We're talking about where football is going, not where it's been. Not trying to make this thing fit if it doesn't fit. And like you said earlier, we get a dynamic player, something we haven't had, something with the coach that we have. If anyone could coach this guy, this talent, because we know the talent's there. If anyone could coach this talent, wouldn't it be Dable?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be Dable? So that right there is the only quarterbacks I want for the Giants at the 6th pick. As much as I like Michael Penix Jr., his play this year, he's got 2 stud wide receivers and a long history of injuries. Bo Nix smells like Daniel Jones, same old, same thing. We draft Daniel Jones. We draft Bo Nix this year. In 2 more years, we're talking about the offensive line again and again. So if we don't get those top 3 quarterbacks, 2 of which are black, and I won't be mad if we take Maye over Daniels. I'm not saying that. But if we don't get those 3 quarterbacks in the draft, it's trade for Justin Fields for me. Just because, again, if anybody can get what they need out of Justin Fields, who's it going to be?
It's going to be Coach Dave's.
Exactly. And then we get a dynamic wide receiver round 1, and we'll get this thing going. Daniel Jones, you mad? Go out and beat him. We'll see. And that's where I'm at. So race doesn't come into play as much as when you start putting those J.J. McCarthy's and throwing, like, I seen a mock draft, and it really pissed me off, made me want to slam my phone. I was listening to the mock draft on YouTube, and the guy had the Giants trading back with Jaden Daniels on the board, trading back and getting some extra picks, whatever, swapping picks, first round. And they get to New Orleans, and we draft Bo Nix. I said, if something like that happens, I'm going to lose it. I said, but that's such a New York Giants thing to do.
I think James already lost it.
Yeah, I said, I think that's such a New York Giants thing to do.
James is lost. It hasn't even happened yet. James is already jumping out of his chair.
But you know what it is? It's for us, it's like watching like the verdict of a case with a cop that did something to black guy. You know he did it. You know he should get arrested. All the evidence is there. But you just don't know if it's going to happen. So the evidence for this quarterback is like the only white one I see in the first round. The only white one I see in the first round, honestly, is Maye. And that's my assessment of these quarterbacks. I'm a Michigan fan, and I just think J.J. McCarthy has to be on a good team. He's not going to be able to play for us. You know what I mean? And one thing that doesn't show for J.J. McCarthy, just so I'm not bashing my Go Blue brother, he doesn't play with a hell of a lot of talent at wide receiver like a lot of these other players are. So if somebody does fall in love with J.J. McCarthy, that could be the thing. Because he does throw balls in tight windows, but my problem with him is on that deep ball when it could be a touchdown and you're overthrowing it. That's exactly the pass I'm paying you to make. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly the pass that I'm paying you to make. So that's what I say.
We got to get out of here in a few minutes, but I wanted to ask T-Brad one last question. We were talking about Selection Sunday here for the college football playoffs, and we were talking about the fact that some people are adverse to keeping Florida State in the 4 spot, even though they're 13-0. They only played 3 top 20 ranked teams this entire season. Their star quarterback blew out his knee against Miami, which was about 4 weeks ago. There's talk about, moving another team. Selection Sunday is going on right now. What are your thoughts, though, about Florida State staying at 4?
Here's my thing. I could see all kind of arguments because Coach Dave's 4. I think he had Michigan, Washington, and Georgia, Bama, or Texas, Bama. He had something like
Texas.
One of those combinations. And I think that does put the best 4 in the finals. The best 4 teams based on record, who they played, and how they've been playing. You probably had the best 4 teams right there.
Right now, right now, the AP top 25 right now is Michigan, Washington, Texas, then Florida State. And then just below them, you got Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. I don't really count Oregon in the mix, of course, with their 2 losses. But can do you see a scenario as this is going on right now? Any team, either Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State, drop into that 4 spot above Florida State?
If any team's going to be in it, it's going to be an SEC team. Like the brother was saying earlier, there's a business side to this. There's like Florida State, yeah, but that's the ACC versus the SEC. Who's got more power? Who's got the better teams? So I think I don't see any scenario where Bama gets in and Texas doesn't. Because if I'm not mistaken, Texas was already ranked ahead of Bama, who won their game. And
Right.
yeah, Bama beat number 1, but we beat you. So you're not going to leap. The leapfrog is going to be hard to explain. And I'm glad I don't have to make this decision because it is difficult. As a business, you want to put the best 3 games out that you can. And is Florida State going to necessarily give a good game? No, but has Florida State done everything that they've done to deserve the opportunity to play in this game? Yes. And I'll throw this out there. If this was a week 7 response, not the last week, this was the week 7, and the teams that lost, would the same type of jumps be talked about? Probably not.
No.
Unless you're Notre Dame, because Notre Dame can lose and move 3 spots forward. They've got that power. But that's my argument to it. And I see both sides. I see the team that deserves to be there because of what they've done on the field, and another team that deserves, and their record, and another team deserves to be there because of what they're doing on the field, but they don't have as good a record. So it's a tough argument. Florida State is the TCU of this tournament. Will TCU get in? We don't know.
Now, James, we would talk about Ohio State, but nobody cares because they're not
going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere. We also have the fact that, of course, Bama took out
Go blue.
yesterday. So there's a lot going on, guys. I gotta jump out because I was supposed to be off at 12 o'clock.
Hey Tim, I'm sorry. Real quick question before we get out of here. I just want to make sure I heard something. What was those polls in the college football rankings again? Who's number 1?
Some team in Ann Arbor.
Go blue.
James.
Oh, let me just add one little thing. And I love T-Brad. I love Tim. Let me just say one thing. Everybody heard T-Brad say he would take Justin Fields as the New York Giants quarterback if we don't get Daniels. That's a Michigan guy saying he would take an Ohio State quarterback. Damn race, damn color. That's a Michigan guy saying he would give it a chance to an Ohio State quarterback.
One thing I'll say as a professional fan, I will not let a young kid's stupid decision to go to a stupid school stop me from getting their talent. We're at another level. We're at the big boy level now, and now you'll see how football's supposed to be played. So yeah, that's how my feeling, because Fields got the talent, and I'd be damned if we go in there and get Bo Nix in the first when we could have got Justin Fields with a second. Then it's the power of the pick. You know what I mean? Draft capital. So that's where I'm at. Thanks, Tim.
The power of the pick. This is Tim. This is T-Brad. This is James. Signing in, signing out. Thanking everyone for coming in this Sunday. Make sure you stay tuned for a lot of videos coming this week. And we got the Green Bay game. James Williams will be in the house on the 8th. And you know what, guys? We are out of here. Thanks, everyone. Have a great